All right, good morning, everybody. So we are back, 2021. Woohoo! I hope everybody had a restful break, and you are back and ready to do a little bit of work. So a couple of things are changing. One of the things that's changing is that the school district Seneca is going back, and anyone who has a grade that's really low for like the first marking period, they're going to change that and make sure that no one gets lower than a 50. So for any of you guys that might be out there who really had a terrible first marking period and you already feel like you're drowning, that's going to be fixed. So we will have a floor there that you can't get lower than. So we're hoping that that's going to help. Number two thing that's changing is participation now gets to count as a grade. And for us, it's going to be 10% of our grade. So what does participation mean for us? It means showing up to meets when you're supposed to show up to meets and getting your work in on the day that it's due. So that's going to be, I'm keeping track of it anyway, but now we're hoping that it'll be more of an incentive to get some stuff done and get your stuff turned in. So hopefully I've already seen you today during our meet, but if not, if this is how you are checking in, I wanted to make sure I said that in the video as well so you can check in and be up to date. So we're going to spend a little time talking about the stock market. I just thought it would be a fun thing to talk about as we get back to school because there's a little bit of relevancy. At your point in life, you're probably not investing in the stock market. At my point in life, I don't really either because I don't know that much about it. So I'm actually taking this opportunity to learn myself as well. So there's so much to know about a stock market and so much that I still don't understand, even after learning about it for a little bit. So we're going to take it slowly, and I'm going to try to make sure that you're only responsible for the things that will actually matter. We're also going to do a stock market game. Fingers crossed. I'm trying to sign us up for a stock market game, which means like for 2 months or so, we will get pretend money to invest. We'll buy stocks and we'll see who has the most money at the end. So that's the potential plan. So to start today, you think now where you have class every other day and you have class for about an hour. So you should expect that like every day you should have to do work during our class period, whether you're live or whether you're doing it on your own. So once that day is over, the work should be turned in. So for today, we have a couple things that we're going to do. So number one, I want to just talk to you a little bit about stocks and what you will need to know. And then I'll let you know what the assignment is at the end of this. So here we go. So I'm going to put this up on the classroom so you can read through it. It's long though, and you might not want to read it all. So I thought, let me go through with you the parts that are important. So the first thing is, what the heck is a stock? So I also have a video for you to watch. And I'll post it. It says, what is a stock? HTMW. It's a short video for you to watch if you'd like to. It just kind of goes over what the heck a stock is. And the basic idea is you have a company, and that company might not have enough money to do everything it wants to do. So what it does is it becomes a public company, and it opens up the thing that we call stocks. It lets people buy ownership in the company to then allow that company to have money so they can do what they need to do. So this video is actually pretty good. It just talks about how does it work, and it kind of makes it very basic for you. So I want you to maybe even pause this and go check out that video and then come back. So hopefully you've watched it, but let's say a company like Apple is a company that has made a ton of money. So I wanted to go down and show you this. Actually, this is Google. So we have Google. All right, in 2004, it went what's called public. So when you first start out, like if you just have some friends invest in your company, that's not buying stock. That's kind of the idea of buying stock, but it's not actually buying stock. You have to actually go public and have a few things. One of them is called an IPO, which is called an initial public offering. I'll talk about that in a second. You have to actually be on one of the stock exchange places where you can actually buy and sell stock. So you don't just get to be like, I'm now going to have investors and I'm now a public company. So Google decided to go public in 2004. In other words, they did an IPO. This means they decided to make shares available to the public, and they sold shares. So this is the part that's cool. Google's initial price was $85. So when they first went public, to buy one share of Google stock cost $85. That one share went up to $1,200. So let's say you bought one share of Google stock, and then let's say it gets all the way up to $1,200 and you sell it. You make the difference. So that'll be a question you eventually have to answer is, if Google sold stocks for $85 and then they were worth $1,200, how much money did you make? Subtract the two numbers, and that's how much money you made. You put in $85 for one share of the stock, and then you sold it for $1,200, so you made $1,115. And sometimes that can happen really fast. Sometimes it can happen slow. But Google's an anomaly. Google is such a popular company that they obviously increase their value really, really fast, and way more than a regular company would. So this is just a graph of what happened. They started trading, their value went up and up. Just because it went down doesn't actually mean people lost money. Stocks can do something else called split. So let's say there were 100 stocks of Google, or 100 shares of Google stock available. They might say, okay, if you bought one, now we're going to say, whoops, you have two. We're going to split the one. Let's say the one was worth $100. Now we're going to say you have two, and they're each 50. So it doesn't change the value. It just lets them like sell more stocks, which I know that sounds kind of confusing, but that's what happened in this graph. The value goes up and up and up. They split, which means they said, okay, instead of having one stock for $100, you now have two, and they're both worth 50. So they didn't change how much money you had, and just allowed them to grow more. They probably did it again. They grew more, they grew more, they grew more. So look, this graph goes from 2004 to 2014. So it shows 10 years of growth. Obviously, you started way down here and then you ended way up here. That's huge. So stocks aren't necessarily something that you want to buy and sell right away. You got to give it time to grow. Okay, I don't want to make this too complicated. I just wanted to show you the growth of some different companies. Another one I wanted to show you is this. So look at this. What if you had invested $1,000 in each of these IPOs? And again, I'm going to come back to that IPOs word in just a second, but I wanted you to see it a couple times. So these circles kind of show how much growth, but look how crazy with Amazon. If you bought $1,000 worth of Amazon in 1997, it would be worth $508,000. This is in 2017, but close to where we are. So crazy, right? Like you buy $1,000 worth of Amazon stock, and then 10 years later, it's worth $508,000. So before the break, we talked about savings accounts and things like that. There is no savings account that can make that kind of money, not even if you put your money in the Roth IRAs and stuff. So saving in a Roth IRA and a savings account would grow really slowly. Roth IRA, much more quickly, you'd get much more money for your investment. But remember, with Roth IRAs, you have to keep your money in there. Stocks are different. You can buy and sell anytime. And the opportunity for growth is huge. But here's the bad news. The opportunity to lose is also huge. So just because some companies grow, that example of Google, would you have thought to buy Google in 1994? Obviously, you weren't born. But in 1994, I remember thinking, like, what's Google? I used Yahoo. So a lot of people used Yahoo as a search engine, and we're like, what would Google get me? Well, now we know. But, without that crystal ball to know what's going to happen, it's really hard to know how to invest your money. Who would have thought to invest? Even look at Tesla. If you invested $1,000 in 2010, 7 years later, that would be worth $13,000. That's huge. But would you have invested $1,000 in 2010? Or would you have been like, Tesla, come on, people aren't going to drive the electric cars. You got to plug them in. The charge doesn't even last that long. Nah, I'm not going to do that. But look how much they've grown. eBay. I remember when eBay came out, 1998. I was 21, 22. I know, it's crazy. But eBay, it was like the craziest concept. I'm going to sell my old stuff online. Who's going to buy it? And like, Have you ever seen 40-Year-Old Virgin? If you have, very, very funny. But there's the woman in there she sells stuff on eBay, and the guy's like, "What do you mean you don't have like a store?" She's like, "No, like all my stuff is here in this space, and then I'll mail it back out, but you can't come in and buy stuff. You have to do it online." And they're like, "What?" So who would have thought eBay would be such an amazing company that if you invested $1,000 when I was 22 years old, I'd have $42,000 now. Huge. Could never make that in a savings account. Okay, so that's your basic idea of what happens with your money in the stock market. Again, I want to make this as simple as possible. I want you to have to know as little as possible to still be able to understand the basics of the stock market. So there are a few words I want you to know, or things. Okay, the first is an IPO. So an IPO, sorry, I'm trying to find it for you. Here we go. Oh my gosh, I just had it up here. Well, whatever. Okay. An IPO stands for initial public offering. So any company on the stock market has to have an IPO. They have to come out and say, okay, here we're going to make this company public, and we're going to offer it for people to buy. So to start, taking your company and growing it through selling shares of it, you need to have an IPO, an initial public offering. Okay. When a company decides to sell their shares and become public, they have to do so on the stock exchange. So let me go down here. So stock exchange. So once a company becomes public, I'm reading here, the shares of that stock trade on one of the major US stock exchanges. So there are 3. Okay, there's the New York Stock Exchange, there's the American Stock Exchange, and there's the Nasdaq. And it just depends. Like some big companies go on the New York Stock Exchange, but then Nasdaq also I think is for like smaller companies, but it has Microsoft. So it's really, you don't need to know or understand why there are 3. I don't understand why there are 3, but just know that a stock can be on any one of those 3 things and be available to trade. So I like the explanation here. The stock market is like a flea market where buyers and sellers come together, and the buyers try to get an item for as low price as possible, and the sellers try to sell a price for as high as possible. So basically, a stock exchange is just like eBay in that, someone's bidding on trying to get the lowest amount of money to buy, and someone's selling and trying to get the most amount of money. So that's what's happening. So in New York, you have these people, and if you've seen those scenes, if you've watched The Wolf of Wall Street, and you have all of these people on the floor of the stock exchange, they're yelling out like, sell this, buy this, sell this, buy this. Because unlike Roth IRAs and stuff, you can sell and buy and sell and buy, and you don't have to keep your money in it for a certain amount of time. So that's what's happening in the stock exchange. A stockbroker is the person who would make the trade for you. So I can't just like call up Nike and be like, hey, I want to buy 10 shares. And Nike's like, oh, hello, Miss Den. I will sell you 10 shares for this much money. It doesn't work like that. There's a stockbroker, and he or she is trained on, how to do the buying and selling. But now we don't have to always go through one broker. We do have companies. So E-Trade is a company, scotttrade.com is a company, and there are other online places who will do it for you. So if you actually wanted to do it and actually invest your money, you can go on etrade.com, and there will be a fee because there's still a human there who's doing the trading, but you can do it through the website and not have to talk to an actual person. Okay, so IPO is the initial public offering. It's saying, here, we're going to sell our company or shares of our company for this much. Stock exchange is where that actually happens. The stockbroker is the person or company who makes that happen, buying and selling of the stocks. And an investor is you. So if you buy stocks, you're an investor. Oops, down here. Okay, this is the person who gives the money to the company in return for a share of the company. Okay, so the other thing is every company, when they go public and they get this IPO, they have what's called a ticker symbol. So a ticker symbol, I'm going to go up here. It's like a shortened version of their name, but ticker symbols aren't always what you would think they are. So, for example, McDonald's has an easy one. If I were to look up McDonald's online and see what their ticker symbol is, because like, in New York they have like the stock exchange going through, and it's just like the Philadelphia airport has letters that you don't have to spell out Philadelphia airport when you're trying to buy plane tickets. You can just put in PHL, and that stands for the Philadelphia airport. Well, just like that, companies have this short little ticker symbol. So McDonald's is MCD. Totally makes sense. But some companies make no sense. Like, so for example, let's say you really love Oreos and you wanted to buy stock in the company that makes the Oreos, so that you'd be like, oh, that's Nabisco. Nabisco makes Oreos. I see it on the package. Well, if you try to go and find Nabisco in the stock exchange, it's not there because they're owned by a bigger company called Mondelez International, who has the ticker symbol MDLZ. So you would never know that. So that's where we're going to have to use Google. So here's what I want you to do today. One of the things I liked that I saw was, how do you think about like what stocks you might even want to buy? Like, how do you start that? Well, I'm going on here. Oops, maybe it's not here. Sorry, hold on one second. Oh yeah, so in this article that I'm sending you, I liked this idea of what they said. So think about, I'm going to read from here. Think about the products and services that you, your family, and your friends use every month, and think about where you spend their money. So instead of thinking, I'm going to the store to buy food, think like this. Yesterday, I was wearing my Nike shoes, Levi jeans, and Abercrombie and Fitch shirt. I stopped at the Bank of America to get some cash to pay for the gas. The BP gas I had to put in my car, my Ford car, that was rolling on Goodyear tires so I could drive to Walmart to buy Charmin toilet paper, Crest toothpaste, Nabisco crackers, Coca-Cola, and Breyers ice cream. On the way home, we stopped at McDonald's for a quick bite, and then at CVS and Walgreens for Grandma's prescription and some Revlon lipstick. Just that short little paragraph named 8 companies that might be good to buy stock in. It's great to buy stock in things that you use. That's, you want to think about, like, what do you use every day? It's not just like, I got up and brushed my teeth. I got up, I put the Crest toothpaste on my toothbrush. I brushed my teeth, I took a shower, and I used my Old Spice shampoo and body wash. Then I put on my Nikes. Think about all the companies that you use in your daily life. So for your assignment today, we're going to do 2 things. I want you to answer the questions in the classroom assignment, and then I want you to find 10 companies that you think you might want to invest in. And don't just pick 10 random ones. Take some time and think about it. What do you actually use in your life? So to make the list of 10 companies, not only do I want the companies, I want to know what is their ticker symbol. And then what is their cost per share right now? So you're going to be using Google a lot. So first of all, if you go to this website, howthemarketworks.com, they will give you some good information on different companies and how much they're worth and what their ticker symbol is. I also was able to do that via just regular Google. So you might just want to use Google. See, we're using Google all the time. So let's say I thought about Starbucks. So I just searched stock symbol for Starbucks. That came up. Oops, hello. And it came up for me right here. So market symbol, or market summary, Starbucks Corporation. So the 3 things I want to know is, what's the company? What's the ticker symbol? What's their price per share right now? 3 things. So if I look over here, Starbucks Corporation, they're on the NASDAQ. So remember, the stock exchanges were New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and American Stock Exchange. So this one's on NASDAQ for whatever reason. I don't know. And this is their ticker symbol, SBUX. Makes sense. But if you had tried searching Starbucks on like the stock exchange, it wouldn't come up. SBUX would, and that would be, it's hard to find without Googling what's the stock symbol for Starbucks. And this is how much their stocks are worth. So $106 per share of stock. There's also a great graph here that'll show how much they were worth. So like, this is just showing me today. So one day's worth of a stock isn't going to show me much. Look on here, 1 day, 5 days, 1 month, 6 months. So as we start to think about the stock exchange or the stock game that we'll play, you might want to start thinking about, let's look at 5 days. What happened? Growth. Let's look at 1 month. Okay, let's look at 6 months. Think about what's happening right now with COVID. So, is Starbucks a place people still go? Probably. They have a drive-through. Is I'm trying to think of a sit-down restaurant. Is that a place that's doing well right now? So let's look up a different one. Stock symbol for, I don't know, Applebee's. All right. So if it doesn't come up well, so look, so see, like I looked up Applebee's and it doesn't make any sense. This says CHG. This is stock price Dine Brands. So maybe Applebee's doesn't have a stock, an IPO. Maybe they're part of a bigger corporation like this Dine Brands Global. So that looks like, yep. So see, read a little bit more. This says Dine Brands Global, the parent company of Applebee's. So that would be, if I think Applebee's is something I want to invest in, I actually have to look up DIN stock price because that's the ticket. That's the umbrella. That's the big company. I'm sorry if that was glitchy. All right, I'm trying to give it a chance to upload. Okay, so here's the overall of that. And then this is again, so I'm not on Google anymore. Now I'm on Market Watch. So I'd have to look around a little bit. Maybe I'd want to go onto Google. I'll look around too and see if there's a better way to get graphs for everything. But I would want to know what the ticker symbol was. So on this, the ticker symbol is DIN. The cost is $57.90 per share. Looks like today it went down. And now they're going to make me pay, which isn't going to happen. So look around. Okay, well, this is just the beginning to start to research. So that's it for today. So again, to review, you're going to go into classwork and just answer the couple of questions. This article will be available for you to go back and look and read that I kind of just went through. And there's a video there to watch as well. Answer the questions and you're going to find 10 companies. This does not mean these are the 10 you have to buy, but I want just 10 companies that you think, you might be interested in looking at. Okay. Have a great day, and I'll see you on not tomorrow, but the next day.